Hello there. I want to talk about empathy because some on the far right are talking about empathy the way that Elon Musk is. He said the fundamental weakness of Western civilization is empathy, but he's not the only one. We had a book called The Sin of Empathy. We have this book from Allie Beth Stuckey called Toxic Empathy. And all of this comes from an extraordinarily deep misunderstanding of what empathy is. So let's real quickly explain that empathy is an emotion, mostly. Empathy is very, very simple. It's simply recognizing that someone else is feeling an emotion, being able to accurately identify that emotion, and then imagine feeling the same way in that same situation. So you see someone win an award, you accurately identify that the smile on their face reflects that they're feeling joy, and you can imagine how you would feel, the joy you would feel if you were in that situation. That's all empathy is. Empathy is not active. When empathy is activated, when empathy becomes not a noun but a verb, it's compassion. Because compassion is empathy plus a desire to help. Not even if you are not able to help, compassion is when you wish that you could help. So you see somebody suffering, you feel empathy, imagining what they're going through, and then you think to yourself, I wish I could do something. That's compassion. There's this fundamental misunderstanding about empathy, and especially when we see people like Elon Musk saying it's a weakness. Empathy is not a soft skill. For Homo sapiens, for our species, it has always been a survival skill because Homo sapiens is very fragile. It's an open question that we haven't fully answered as to why Homo sapiens survived when the other species of human did not. Neanderthal was more resilient than we are. They had bigger brains. They had practiced a rudimentary form of dentistry. How did Homo sapiens, slow, fragile, no defensive mechanisms? We don't have talons or venom. How did we survive? The way that we survived was through community and collaboration. We survived because when you are messing with one human being, you are almost always messing with more. A tiger is not going to be able to come to your village and just drag somebody out night after night after night. Eventually, humans will collaborate with one another. They will cooperate with one another and they will defeat a much more powerful enemy. We are pack animals. And that is what has always made us successful. That's the only way that our species has survived and thrived on the planet. So if you get rid of empathy, that's an existential threat. That the decline of empathy is a possible extinction event for our species that has always survived through empathy. And we can see this reflected in the debate over climate change, right? We're not having a debate over whether climate change is happening. That's accepted at this point, even by those who don't want to take measures to fight it. The debate now is whether or not what is required as a response to climate change. And you have some on the far right who are very much about vertical morality. In other words, morality that's based on a hierarchy. Those who have the most power at the top are the ones who get to make the decisions for everyone else below them, as, as opposed to horizontal morality, which horizontal morality says, we're all in this together. And, we're all basically have the same human rights and civil rights. So when it comes to empathy, we have to decide as a species how to respond to the threats to our existence. And that, again, it's up to you whether that means that you have empathy that leads to compassion only for those who are similar to you, or whether you include all of Homo sapiens in that. But empathy itself is not a weakness at all. It is, in fact, what has helped our species to survive. And if we lose empathy, we don't survive. It really is that simple. And our species has been around for a pretty short period of time on this planet. It's another open question as to whether we are a viable species. So what you decide on empathy is kind of what helps to decide how viable our species is, whether we survive or whether we don't. We survive together. That's it. It's pretty much that simple. Have a good one, and as always, please be kind. Please be compassionate.